Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast, brought to you by DirecTV, 1-800-259-7646. Also brought to you by RVWheelator.com. If you're buying an RV or selling an RV, check out RVWheelator.com and the Dollar Shave Club. Here's John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening on a Tuesday. Hey, baby, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Fabulous. I'm always happy on Tuesdays. You know why?
Why?
Because we have Tuesdays with Charlie.
That's right.
Yeah,
we can talk to my dad.
We do. We talk to your dad about all kinds of crazy stuff. So we'll be doing that here later in the program.
He's just the coolest guy.
He is.
Ever.
I actually had somebody ask what Charlie looks like. So I posted a photo on our Facebook page, facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. You can go on there and see what he looks like because they're kind of in their mind.
He's a handsome fella.
Yeah, and it's not a great photo of him. I found the worst picture I could find. No, I didn't really. So go check that out. But we'll be talking to him here before you know it. And a new study found that 1/3 of studies are incorrect. So they need to do 2 more studies and see which one
I was
comes
going
up.
to say, how do they know theirs is correct?
1/3 of studies are incorrect. How about this one? Do 2 more and then tell me the consensus.
Funny.
Otherwise, I just don't believe you. Coming your way, we got some fun stuff. It is Tuesday, the 29th day of September. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
This portion of the program is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. Get razors for $1 a month plus a few bucks shipping, so you can enjoy fresh razors every month for as little as $3. Learn more at dollarshaveclub.com/radio.
The author of a new book about insects says if you are blonde, you are more likely to get bitten by mosquitoes, more so than people with any other hair color.
Really?
Do you agree or disagree?
I wouldn't know.
Well,
I'm not a blonde.
Growing up, my hair was blonde. What color would you say my hair is now? It's not really blonde
it's not
anymore.
Blonde, but it's not really brunette either, so it's hard to say.
What are you trying to say?
Kind of a sandy blonde, I suppose.
My hair is...
It's not really a color.
starting to turn gray. I know that. Anyway, growing up, I would not get mosquito bites, hardly ever. But other people would, so I disagree. I was blonde, and to this day...
Yeah, but you're stinky.
I think that's it. I must not smell good. Because even the mosquitoes, I get like 3 mosquito bites a year. And they're like, yeah, don't taste him. He's... So there you go. If you're blonde, according to this, far more likely to get mosquito bites than any other hair color. Coming up, going to talk about the crazy cravings you might have during a pregnancy. I'm not going to even tell you what this lady wanted, but we'll tell you and see if you figure it out. It's on the way.
This portion of the program is brought to you by RVWheelator.com. If you want to buy or sell an RV, go to RVWheelator.com. List your RV for free. Learn more at RVWheelator.com.
Well, you know it's true because you heard it on the radio. Heidi, what's the weirdest thing you've ever craved while pregnant?
Well,
did you have weird cravings?
I did. With my son, it started out with...
Our son, yeah.
With macaroni and cheese.
That is kind of weird, yeah.
That I needed like every day. Had to have macaroni, macaroni and cheese.
Cotton candy?
And cotton candy.
Yeah. And then, Taylor, you were craving burritos.
It was burritos. Fried burritos.
Like chimichangas.
It was not good.
Well, you're not going to believe what this woman was craving. Sometimes a man will do anything for his wife, even more so when she's, with child. But I have to hand to this guy. He's more than committed. He was driving 450 miles a week to get his wife the food she was craving.
Oh, my goodness.
Chris Bateman would drive 150 miles 3 times per week to the nearest KFC to get her favorite meal.
Oh, my God.
His wife loved KFC, and her love for that began before they ever got married. And then took him about an hour and a half one way, but he would say at the end of the day, it was well worth it. That's what she was craving. So there you go. That is nuts to me.
Guy.
I would say so.
You
it's
would
really
never
cool.
have done that for me.
I would have.
Oh, my God. No.
We live...
Once, maybe, but there's no way 3 times a week you would have driven an hour and a half one way to go pick me up something to eat.
Now, you'll notice it doesn't say he didn't complain anywhere. Somehow he put out a press release about it, so I'm just saying.
My uncle, I remember this story that my aunt, Linda, wanted a fresh garden tomato, and it was in the middle of the winter.
Yeah.
She wanted a warm, fresh garden tomato.
So he went to Guatemala?
He went to the store, and he bought a tomato, and then drove around and had it on his heater. Drove around for, like, 2 hours to try to get it nice and soft and warm so that she would feel like it was.
Aww.
It was very sweet.
What a
It
sweetheart.
was very sweet. It wasn't the same, but it was very sweet. She really appreciated it. He was a great guy.
He was.
I
miss him. I miss him a lot. Sad that he's gone now. Well, there you go. Again, what's the weird cravings you've had while pregnant? Maybe you can share those with us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. Right now, we're going to get to another story that's coming your way here in a bit. But you know this one is true because you heard it on the radio.
The John and Heidi Show is brought to you in part by the Keystone Treatment Center.
This is your brain, and this is your brain on drugs. We share silly stories here on the program, but addiction is no joke. If you or someone you know suffers with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, make today the day you seek help.
Call toll-free 844-204-1055.
That's a toll-free number. Again,
844-204-1055.
And this is your brain on drugs. A woman tries to bail her boyfriend out of jail, but she ends up going to jail too. Isn't this kind of like the story we had yesterday?
Yeah.
I think it's similar, or maybe that was last week. Well, in Twin Falls, Idaho, 20-year-old Erin Magel wanted to get her boyfriend out of jail. Now she's in there as well. Why? Well, she went in there with some checks that were stolen from her mother.
Oh, wow.
Don't even think about feeling sorry for either of these two bozos. Together, they have about a dozen cases pending in court right now, including possession of marijuana, transfer of stolen vehicles, driving under the influence, carrying a concealed weapon, providing false information to an officer, resisting arrest, burglary, and more. So, yeah, it's probably
model citizens.
A couple right there that's just meant to be together behind bars, and that's where they are. So that doesn't sound like they have a good life plan
No,
in place.
it really does not.
So somebody needs to talk to these two because it'd be terrible if they continue on that path. Coming up, we've got your moment of duh. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
This portion of the program is brought to you by Keystone Treatment Center. Addiction is no laughing matter. Call Keystone Treatment Center toll-free at 1-844-204-1055.
When gasoline prices went up, a lot of people couldn't afford to drive. They couldn't do things. So the great state of Minnesota decided to step in and do something about it. And this is your moment of duh. The residents of Minnesota were hit hard, and they're not too thrilled about what happened here. Minnesota decided that they would penalize, keep in mind, penalize is a bad thing. They would penalize gas stations who were discounting gasoline.
What?
Yeah. There was a place that they said Arkansas-based Murphy Oil, they got a $70,000 fine. Quick Trip Incorporated got a $5,000 fine for not making sufficient profit on their gasoline. In other words, they were not charging enough. The state of Minnesota said that's illegal. You can't do that. That's not fair. More people are going to you than the other guys. So
the other guys could discount theirs as well.
Exactly. So they were penalized for making
that
their gas
is not
too
right.
cheap. That's why the great state of Minnesota deserves this moment of duh.
The scoop of the day is brought to you by Wells Blue Bunny. If you want delicious ice cream, be sure to look for the Blue Bunny. Sure to have your favorite flavors. Learn more at bluebunny.com.
Now your scoop of the day. According to a CDC study, 9 out of 10 teenagers are not getting enough fruits and veggies.
I would say that our children are 2 out of those 9.
Probably. Instagram announced last week that they now have 400 million monthly active users, up from 300 million monthly active users in December of 2014. Instagram users post more than 80 million photos every single day. Heidi,
that
80
is
million.
Crazy.
I don't really think that we have anything worth photographing and putting on that everybody can see 80 million times a day. There's just that's a lot. What are we putting on there? I've seen things on there, and it's usually, it's what I'm having for dinner. Like, great.
See, I don't go to Instagram.
Yeah, me neither. I'm on there. I went on there, but it didn't make any sense to me. I'm like, I'm not taking pictures of stuff. I'd rather just go on Facebook and see what you guys are up to. All right, Mark Raymar wanted to get his 40th high school reunion recently, but he ended up arrested instead. He was at the airport traveling to his reunion, and he opened the emergency exit door in the Denver International Airport concourse and ran out on the runway trying to stop the plane from taking off without him. Turns out that's not the way you stop a plane.
No, that's not a good idea.
Yeah, if you're late, you're late. Tough stuff. You don't run onto the airport runway because that's a bad idea. Albuquerque bus driver Jeremy Pera crashed into 3 cars back in July of 2014 And newly released surveillance videos show why. He was seen munching down a burrito while he was driving. Keep in mind, he's a bus driver. He was driving a bus. At one point, he can be seen taking both hands off the wheel to get a good bite of this burrito.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah, he probably lost his job.
Yeah, so that's not so good. Scientists at the University of Auckland have determined that mozzarella is the best kind of cheese for using while making pizza. Really?
Well, haven't we always known that?
I kind of thought so. But the scientists at the
I'm
University
sure
of...
glad that they're spending their time studying that because we needed to know.
Don't waste your time trying to cure cancer or anything. Really, keep working on pizza, guys. Scientists, again, at the University of Auckland have determined that mozzarella is the best kind of cheese for making pizza. For their research, which was published in the Journal of Food Science, the food scientists got to watch as pizzas cooked with a variety of cheeses. And they had cameras and special software to analyze and measure things like blistering, browning, elasticity, and water density. Once again, we may be overfunding that particular university.
I think
why
so.
would they be doing that?
Yeah,
Get back to work doing something important. Who cares? All right. As states liberalize and legalize marijuana laws, public officials and safety advocates worry that more drivers could be high on pot and could lead to a big increase in traffic deaths.
Yeah, that's my only concern with it, honestly.
Researchers have studied the issue, are divided on this question. Studies of marijuana's effectiveness shows the drug can slow decision-making and can decrease peripheral vision and impede with multitasking, all of which are critical driving skills. But unlike alcohol, drivers who are high on pot tend to be aware that they are impaired, and they try to compensate by driving slower, avoiding risky situations and passing cars and allowing extra room between vehicles. So they've done a test. They had a drunk driver in this lane and a stoned driver in that lane, and the drunk driver got there a whole lot quicker and crashed into more stuff, but the stoned driver went really slow and laughed a lot along the way, apparently.
And the impact was much less damage.
Either way, it's a bad idea. Don't drive under the influence of any controlled substance. I remember one time I took medication, and I wasn't thinking. I took this medication. I drank a bunch of cold medicine, and then I got really drowsy. I slept at work that day. I was like, I am not driving because this is a bad idea.
Yeah.
All right, our strange law for today. From New Jersey, it is illegal to slurp your soup in the state of New Jersey. Why? These laws
you're
make no
bothering
sense
other
to
patrons.
me. There you go. I like to slurp my soup.
Yeah, but nobody likes to hear that. Nobody likes to hear that when you're eating.
What do you call that? Masticating?
It's masticating. Nobody wants to hear you masticating all across the restaurant.
That is the actual term for making noises with your mouth while you're chewing.
While you're eating. Yeah,
masticating.
it's disgusting.
There you go. That's your strange law. This has been your Scoop of the Day. Tuesdays with Charlie is on the way.
This portion of the program is brought to you by RoughToughKennels.com. Dog kennels and accessories sent to your front door wherever you live. Your dog deserves it. Learn more at RoughToughKennels.com.
Time now for my favorite program, something we do every Tuesday just because we can. We pick up the telephone and we call my father-in-law for a little show we like to call Tuesdays with Charlie. How you doing, Charlie?
Another great Tuesday.
Yes, it is. Always fun to chat with you. So you got some fun stuff to teach us today?
Well, this is pretty simple stuff, but we're going to do it anyway, okay?
All right. What do we got?
Okay, in the United States, you know what a Frisbee is?
Yeah.
You know that outsells football, baseballs, and basketballs combined?
Frisbees do?
Frisbees do.
I bet they do. They're cheaper.
Well, they are cheaper. And I know there are people that do Frisbee golf, so maybe that's why. Because, you can't buy just one for that. You need a whole set.
Well, yeah, you do.
That makes sense.
That's terrible. What's wrong with them people? Let's get out there and play football and baseball and stuff.
Well, they like playing Frisbee.
Hey, then people in China.
Yeah?
Okay, there's over 1 billion people in China, but do you know they only have about 200 family names?
No kidding.
Wow.
So they all have very similar names then?
Apparently.
Well, that's cool.
Maybe they're all related.
Probably.
And then on that same note, more people speak English in China than in the United States.
I wouldn't doubt that either.
that I believe. And we're not mentioning any nationalities here or anything. But
so you're saying a lot of the people in China speak English as well?
Yes, more people speak English than in the United States.
That's really cool.
Holy mackerel.
I'm glad they're learning our language and we don't have to learn theirs
Yeah,
because
theirs is very difficult.
I wouldn't be able to. I'm not that smart. I barely speak English.
That is true. Hey, did you know that during its lifetime, an oyster changes its sex from male to female and back several times?
Really?
That's where Bruce Jenner got the idea.
I think so. He looks like an oyster.
Caitlin
Why?
Oyster.
Why do they? Does it say why they need to do that?
I don't know.
Well, you need to tell your staff to get on that because I've got questions.
Well, we don't have no answers, so
You got questions? We got more questions.
yeah, get over it. And then, our old buddy Johnny Appleseed,
Yeah.
Yes.
he planted a lot of apples all over there.
Yeah, he
Yes.
did. John Chapman,
You
yeah.
know why he did that?
He was trying to, I'm trying to think of what it was. Why did he do
Trying to
that?
make apple cider to make alcohol.
No kidding.
Johnny was a lush.
There you go. Everywhere I went, I need some more apples.
Hey, and then here's a quick little thing. This is if you care. It was discovered on a space mission that a frog can throw up.
A frog can?
Can throw up.
Huh. I guess.
Apparently that'd take him out in space to do it, but he can
I
throw
think
up.
anything can throw up if you throw it on a spaceship and launch it into space. I don't think I could do that and hold anything down.
Yeah, that'd be quite a ride.
Well, apparently a frog can't. So.
There you go.
And then I got one other thing here on, as long as we're on animals.
Okay.
If you feed a seagull Alka-Seltzer, its stomach will explode.
I read that.
I have heard that.
Don't do that, folks.
I've never
That's
seen
bad.
that.
I don't want to see that. That
I'd
would be
kind of
mean.
like to see that.
No, that would be mean.
I want to get him to do it.
No.
Dad and I want to watch it.
You guys are terrible, terrible people, just so you know.
What if they foam at the mouth first or something?
You could just email that to me and I'll respond back that I tried to warn them.
Well, then seagulls around here, they're going to be in for a rude awakening.
Okie dokie.
Okay, questions?
Oh, yeah, you're done?
I'm done.
All right. Have you ever heard of a mayfly? Do you know what a mayfly is?
Yes, I do.
A mayfly only lives, their entire life cycle is 6 hours long. How long does it take for their eggs to hatch, though?
2 minutes.
No, 3 years.
3 years?
So they spend 3 years as an egg, and then they hatch, and within 6 hours, they're done.
So they don't even get to meet their own kids. That's really sad.
No, they don't. They wouldn't get to.
That's not a bad idea.
No. 6 minutes worth of living, 3 years worth of getting ready to live. So there you go.
Huh.
Well, geez, they make the best of it then.
There they do. Well, it was fun chatting with you, Charlie. We always enjoy talking to you. If you've got a tough question, maybe make it a little easier or make it about beer, and he might get it right. And send it to us, charlie@johnandheidishow.com, and we'll try to get your question on next week.
That'll work.
Bye, Daddy.
Bye, Fluff. Bye, John.
Bye-bye. My father-in-law right there. We talk to him every Tuesday just because we can. It's a little show we like to call
Tuesdays with Charlie.
This portion of the program is brought to you by carsforsale.com. If you're in the market to buy a car, truck, or van, find thousands of vehicles to choose from at carsforsale.com.
Today is a very special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
Well, it's Tuesday, the 29th day of September, but that means today is Mags Day. I'm not sure what that means.
Mags
I don't know.
Day?
M-A-G-S, all capital letters, Mags Day.
Huh.
It's Mutation Day. Ew. It's also VFW Day. Hats off to all of the folks
Absolutely.
at the VFW. You've all served your country well. Thank you for doing so, men and women. National Biscotti Day. I know what that
I
is.
love biscottis.
That's like if somebody leaves a donut out, it gets all hard and crunchy, and then they sell it the next day, and they say, well, yesterday it was a day-old donut. Now it's a 2-day-old donut, but we just call it biscotti now. You should have it with some coffee. Next, National Attend Your Grandchild's Birthday. What?
It's kind of hard to plan that in
I think so,
advance,
too.
isn't it?
And it's International Coffee Day. So celebrate with some biscotti
Coffee
and
and
some
biscotti.
coffee. There you go. That's going to do it. It's a special day. Get out and celebrate on this Tuesday, the 29th day of September.
This portion of the program is brought to you by StoneGroupArchitects.com. It's more than a building. It's design and function working together. Check out the project portfolio at StoneGroupArchitects.com.
For those of you who are looking for a job during these tough economic times, listen up. Got some tips here from Career Builder. Number one, they say these are some things that you could fall into these traps. Don't fall into these traps. Don't put all of your eggs in one basket. They're saying if you apply for a job, don't say, well, I applied. That's all I need to do. No, apply and keep looking until you get a job. Next one, make finding a job your full-time job. If you're not doing that, somebody else out there is going to be looking a little harder than you, and they're going to get it.
They're going to get the good jobs you wanted.
You can't go in if you're less than perfect. If you show up for an interview and you've got coffee spilled on your shirt, that's a bad idea. Get another shirt. Be sure you prepare for those kind of things. Don't walk in with a resume with a bunch of typos in it. That's a bad idea. Next on the list, it says if you don't follow up, that's not good. I have a story about a guy who he applied, was going to school to be a lawyer. He applied at a law firm. And about a week later, not quite a week later, he called to see if the position had been filled for this summer intern, and they said, it was just filled now. You got the job. Who is this? So he got the job, and he said, oh, how did I get it? They said, you're the only one that followed up. The only one. Next, if you're not networking, you're not doing it right. If you go in and you talk to somebody about a job and they're not hiring, say, do you know anybody in this field that might be? They might know somebody that is looking. And the last thing on the list here says, if you haven't registered with a staffing firm, you're not doing yourself any favors. Register with staffing firms because chances are they'll find you something. And then if you take a part-time position somewhere like filling in, that could turn into a full-time gig. If you'd like maybe to know a little more, check out Career Builder. They've got all that on their website. Coming up, we're going to talk about a guy that wasn't very nice to a police officer, and I think he learned his lesson. It's on the way.
This portion of the program is brought to you by DirecTV, 1-800-259-7646. Also brought to you by RVWheelator.com. If you're buying an RV or selling an RV, check out RVWheelator.com and the Dollar Shave Club. Here's John and Heidi.
A lesson in respect for the law had one man serving his punishment in a pigsty.
Oh.
Listen to this. Mama always said, have respect for the police. Don't ever call them names.
Oh, no.
You can call them officer, you can call them patrolman, but don't ever refer to them as a pig. They don't like that. And I don't understand why you would call them that. One man in Ohio, he was taught his lesson because he called an officer a pig. He was punished by being incarcerated with a real pig. Stephen Thompson had to spend 2 hours right next to a 350-pound pig.
2 hours.
A pig in a pig pen wearing a sign that read, this is not a police officer. Technically, he was arrested and charged with disorderly conduct, but you have to lodge the judge's unique brand of punishment. Steve says...
They could have done better than that. 2 hours is nothing.
It is nothing, but you know what? At least the guy is now being shamed all over the nation, everybody that's reading these stories, and he did say he's sorry. He said, I'm really sorry for saying that. Here's the thing you need to understand. If you did something wrong and you got arrested, it's your fault, not theirs. You did something wrong. If you're speeding and you get pulled over... You were speeding. That's why they pulled you over. Don't blame them. It's not their fault. They're doing their job to keep people safe. Thank you to the police officers, the men and women that keep our streets safe. It is a very tough job, and I appreciate that someone's doing it. Don't call them pig. That's a bad, bad, bad idea. All right, coming up, we're going to have some happy news. We're going to talk about a cheerleader. Well, I don't know if this is really a happy story, but we have something happy somewhere. I promise you. It's on the way.
This portion of the program is brought to you by GunUp.com. If you're a gun lover, you'll be in heaven at GunUp.com. Built by experienced military veterans, shooting sports competitors, and publishing professionals. They have awesome stories and articles that are read by millions of gun enthusiasts. Check it out at GunUp.com.
The Ann Arbor, Michigan News reported that a pickup rear-ended a car at an intersection, causing a chain reaction pileup, and then the pickup took off. Fortunately, the Lincoln High School varsity cheerleading squad witnessed it. And to keep from forgetting the license number, they made a quick cheer.
Oh, good Lord. I knew that was
and
coming.
they started chanting it. This enabled the police to find the truck owner, who first claimed that he thought it wasn't a big enough wreck to stop. Then he said, well, I tried to go back, but traffic was too heavy. So he's trying to come up with excuses. But they saw it, and they're like, oh, he's going away. So like, G104 753, whatever the cheer was.
Ridiculous.
They cheered it. You know what? Whatever it takes, Here was another idea.
None of them had a piece of paper.
I was going to say, here's another
None
idea.
of them had a cell phone. They could have just typed it into the phone. I mean,
Text it to
seriously,
somebody,
come on.
call somebody. But, the other idea would certainly be to send to do a cheer. That would be my third choice. If I don't have a way to write it down, if I don't have my phone, I'm going to make up a cheer, and I'm going to cheer it.
That's just precious.
There you go. Coming up here in a moment, we got some fun stuff to share. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
This portion of the program is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. You can get razors sent to your door each month for just $1, plus a couple of bucks shipping. It's an amazing deal. Log on to dollarshaveclub.com/radio to learn more. That's dollarshaveclub.com/radio. Now, back to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
All right, Heidi, I got a couple of stories here that are smaller, shorter stories, but I'm going to try to squeeze a few of them in, all right?
All righty.
Okay, according to a study in psychosomatic medicine, women who stay silent during spats with spouses may increase their risk of mortality, of dying.
I was going to say.
I'm sorry, I read it wrong. But they're saying
that was just wishful thinking on your part.
No. They're saying if you're in a relationship where there is violence, get out of that relationship. It's bad for your health and it's bad for your life. So that's bad. Evan Warner entered a drugstore carrying a shotgun, wearing a long coat and a ski mask. After threatening the clerk, he was given cash from the register. He got about $100. As he turned to leave, the clerk grabbed the barrel of the shotgun and pulled it away. He also took the mask off, and the dumb criminal then ran off. Even though the cops had a good description of the culprit, they did not have any leads as to who he was until he called the sheriff's office to report somebody stole his shotgun.
Oh, my God.
Where'd they steal it? Well, I was robbing this store. What a moron. A man in China thought he'd be pulling off the jewelry heist of the century. In the middle of the day, the crook walked into the store, went behind the counter, and started dumping trays of diamonds into a bag. He was shocked when security nabbed him. Why? Because minutes before, he drank some tea, and he was told it would make him invisible.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. And finally, Edmund Taylor of Surrey, England, was finally cleared of a dangerous driving conviction on appeal after a year of fighting. The real criminal had stolen his identity. Authorities said, no way. Then they looked at the surveillance video and they saw the driver was white. Mr. Taylor was black. He finally did win. He's like, that was not me. And they're like, that was you. No, it wasn't me. Look at the video. There's it. That guy's white. I'm black.
Wow.
See? All right, coming up, we've got some good news. That is on the way on the John and Heidi Show.
This portion of the program is brought to you by DirecTV. Call 1-800-259-7646. They have hundreds of channels to choose from, with many packages to fit your viewing desires. Learn more at 1-800-259-7646.
I always try to end the stories here, end the program with something positive. Now, it gets difficult some days to find something positive, but I think this is pretty cool. The British Council polled 7,000 English learners in 46 different countries, and they asked them, what is the most beautiful English word?
Okay.
If I were going to ask you, Heidi, what would you say is the most beautiful English word?
I think chlamydia is a beautiful word.
It's not.
It's a beautiful word. It's not a nice thing, but it's a beautiful. It sounds like a flower. It
Why
sounds like a
did
lovely
I
blossoming
even
flower.
ask you? In addition to
It's
the
a lovely
7,000,
word.
in addition to the 7,000 that were asked, 35,000 more people were able to vote online. They narrowed it down to the top 70 most beautiful words. They include peace, if, cute, lullaby, giggle, bliss, kangaroo, twinkle, bumblebee, grace, flabbergasted, tickle, sweetheart, blossom, liberty, destiny, freedom, tranquility, and hippopotamus. Counting down to the top 5, here they are: eternity, love, smile, passion. And what do you think the number one word is?
Chlamydia.
No. Why did I ask you again? No. The number one word is, you're one of them, mother.
Oh.
When I said that, your eyes got really big for a second there. Mother was voted as the most beautiful word from the British Council. That's really cool.
That's nice. You can't tell me that that's not a pretty word. That's a
not.
pretty word.
No, it's not. It sounds terrible. Ugh. Yucky. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. I apologize. Anybody listening that now has to explain to their children what that word means. Tell them it sounds like a flower.
It's a flower.
Yeah, it's not
it's
what
a lovely
it is.
flower.
Okay, you're
Just
in
doesn't
trouble.
smell as good.
I'm gonna have open auditions for the John and Somebody show starting tomorrow. Anybody but Heidi. She's grounded. All right, thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
Time now for the bonus break, only available here on the John and Heidi Show podcast.
And the bonus break is brought to you by the Dollar Shave Club. You can learn more on their website. We'll tell you all about them, though. It's a place where you go and you sign up to have razors delivered right to you. So you don't have to mess around at the store trying to buy them. You don't have to try to remember to get razors. You just sign up and they'll automatically bring them to you every single month. Now, if you don't need them every month, sign up to get them every other month. It's a really cool service. It's very affordable. For as little as $3 a month, you can have razors delivered right to you. Learn more at dollarshaveclub.com/radio. All right, you ready for your bonus break, Heidi?
Absolutely.
All right. Studies show that fuel economy has become the number one concern among buyers of American cars. Motorists have also been pressing for higher speed limits, but that can sharply reduce the mileage your car gets. Well, that might seem common sense. A new study clearly quantifies the impact of putting the pedal to the metal. It finds that there are surprisingly few differences between vehicles, whether brick-like SUVs or sleek wind-cheating sports cars. People really like the rule of thumb. If you're increasing your speed from 50 to 60 miles per hour, we find for the larger number of vehicles, fuel economy will go from about 11 or 12%, go down about 12%. So if you're driving a big gas guzzler, you're going to get about 12% worse gas mileage. If you're driving a sleek, tiny little compact car, you're still going to get about 12% fewer gas mileage. And that's by going from 50 miles an hour to 60 miles per hour. Now, if they use numbers like I have, we'll get to those here in a second, 60 miles an hour to 70 miles per hour, and it even goes up to 80. We'll tell you about that here. But Brian H. West, a researcher at Oak Ridge National Laboratory in Knoxville, Tennessee, that's where the study was conducted, he says, pushing it a little faster, you're going to see the mileage drop 14%, going from 60 to 70, and the fuel economy will dip another 16% if you nudge the speedometer up to 80 miles per hour. So when I'm going, 70 or 80 miles per hour, I'm getting very poor gas mileage compared to when I'm going slower. I'm going to have to slow down in the school zones from now on. Actually, we can go 80 miles per hour where we live. There's a speedometer or a speed limit of 80, and I do that quite often. And I have noticed when I'm going fast that my gas mileage really sucks. Bad. Moving on to Romania, an unidentified man got into an argument with some of his friends. To prove that he could do it, he stole a car. He smashed the window, used a screwdriver to start the thing, and drove through a busy street. Unfortunately, he made it about a half a mile before crashing into a tree.
Oh, wow.
That's a whole different story. He told the cops he crashed because I didn't know which way to go. They thought maybe there was another problem, but here's the thing. The reason his friend said you couldn't do it, you can't steal that car, is because he is legally blind. So he's blind and apparently not that bright because they convinced him that, hey, it's a good idea for you to steal this car just to prove you can do it.
Didn't we just talk about a story not too long ago where a blind guy was driving a golf cart and there was a deaf passenger who had been drinking, and so he didn't want to drive it, but he was giving directions to the blind guy, and they thought that would work out just fine?
I think there was something like that,
Yeah, the deaf guy had been drinking all day, and so he didn't want to drive the golf cart, so he told his blind friend to drive. He's like, I'll tell you where to go. It didn't end very well. They crashed.
Yeah, that was a bad deal.
That's one of my favorite stories.
It was a silly story. I feel bad for both of the guys because you're like, that's not good.
He was trying to do the responsible thing by not driving, but he probably
next time call a friend.
Call somebody that could see.
Yeah. Let's head to Nashville. The court there is hearing a case for a 19-year-old, Denza D. McGee. That sounds like somebody you'd sing about. Doesn't that sound like somebody from a song?
Yeah, like John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt.
Denza D. McGee. Well, he's accused of fatally shooting a man. During the hearing, Denza's buddy, 23-year-old Gerard Cunningham, showed up to give moral support. However, the sole witness who was in the court to identify Denza D. McGee said she recognized Mr. Cunningham as his partner in the shooting. So Mr. Cunningham was also pulled out of the gallery and arrested. So,
nice.
So he was there to show us support. Hey, I'm here to help you. And yeah, you were there to help me the night I shot the guy too. So he was in a little bit of trouble for that. I think that's going to do it for our bonus break. We got somebody that needs in here, so we're going to get the heck out of here. Thanks for joining us. The bonus break is brought to you by the Dollar Shave Club. Learn more at dollarshaveclub.com/radio.